That's part of the process. Prompt engineering, developing some AI assistants, creating some new bots, those types of things, you know, give it a try, see how it works. We celebrate the experiment rather than saying, I can't believe you did that. Never do that again.
Welcome back to the CultureWorks podcast. I'm Chester Elton here with my dear friend and co-author Adrian Gostick. This is the show where we talk to executives and thinkers and the change makers shaping the workplace of tomorrow.
And we're so excited. Today, our guest is Laura Butler, who's leading one of the most significant transformations in HR, integrating AI and emerging technologies into people strategy at a global scale. Laura is the Chief People Officer at TTEC, where she leads HR for more than 50,000 employees across 25 countries. She also has a rich background with Oracle and Adobe. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. Let's get started right away with this idea of the AI revolution in HR. Because sometimes HR have a little bit of a reputation of being a little slow to adopt, but you're pushing the envelope here. So you've stated today's AI revolution is creating really unprecedented opportunities to amplify human potential. You're not seeing it as a threat. You're seeing it as something that maybe can help HR, help our human potential. So what's driving the optimism about technology from your point of view?
Well, we have a global workforce in so many different countries, and having technology like AI that can help create language translations and help people better connect across the world, it opens up talent pools in unprecedented ways. And then also in terms of productivity, getting things done, enhancing the intelligence of a network of that amount of individuals is just fantastic. I think this is an incredible time. We're in the customer experience industry. It's revolutionizing customer experiences and employee experiences at the same time.
Yeah, really at a massive scale at TTEC, right? You talk about all those different languages and cultures and so on. So you mentioned a couple of practical applications like translation and the talent pool and so on. What are some others that you're working on right now that you're seeing AI really having a big impact?
It's having a big impact on our ability to produce project plans, things like project communications, change management, and building off of templates. It's allowing us to create insights from meetings and different things that I think at least are starting to become more mainstream right now. But it's allowing us to all have a meeting. And, sometimes you have those meetings and you think, what did we just talk about? And the good thing about transcription is that it will allow you to tell you that and then take that and put it into project plans. And AI in project planning will help surface, these are the things you need to work on this week. Here's the people you need to follow up on. And even leveraging AI and recognition programs to ensure that you're equally recognizing people and there isn't the person that you forgot to recognize. It's just radiating like sunshine across our business.
Well, there is some pushback, as you know. I mean, over the last week or so, I talked to a 50-year-old leader who said, I'm not embracing AI because nobody will know how to do anything anymore. I still want to do things and not have AI do things for me. We're raising now a generation of people who will never learn how to do anything. And yet Chester and I were on with our 76-year-old mentor, Marshall Goldsmith, the other day, and Marshall is leading the way. He's embracing AI. He has a Marshall bot he's already created with a team of people. So we have this push and pull, this tension between automation and human connection. How are you navigating that balance at TTEC?
It's actually a really good point. And I think resistance can come even, from younger people also thinking, I don't know how to use this. And balancing that inside the organization is trying to make it less intimidating, less scary. And the easier use cases, how you plan a vacation using AI. I mean, these are little things. And it's not about, when you think about thinking, prompt engineering it's teaching us to ask better questions. I just took a whole class actually and on prompt engineering, and I think it made me a better leader because I didn't realize sometimes providing direction to a person and you think, well, why didn't they do exactly but when you prompt engineer correctly, you get great results. But if you're using AI with the wrong prompt, you get a very skewed result. So I think that these have great opportunities. Reminding people, calculators. We all are learning the multiplication tables, we're learning division, we're learning the fundamentals in school. But complex calculations, could we do? Yeah, maybe takes a while longer and we have to go back and remember algebra, but at least it helps us accelerate that. So what's hard right now when we're doing this technology is what's next? What are people's jobs going to look like next? And so people are still kind of hanging on to, I know what my job looks like now. But once you start to paint the potential of the future, then it gets exciting because who has time for for calculations now and doing all the complex math by hand? No. We know what we need to spend our time on, and so as a result, we're embracing the calculator and those types of technologies in the past.
You talk to a lot of other CHROs. You got your community and so on. So when you talk about AI with other CHROs in HR, what do you find is the biggest misconception you encounter?
The AI will take your job, to be honest. That's the biggest misconception. We're certainly not saying that. And AI is taking, I love the quote, taking the robot out of human. It's taking, when you really think about what that's opening up and unlocking human potential, we are absolutely seeing that we're able to get to those projects that have been, who has a to-do list that they've ever finished? I don't know, but maybe you do. I certainly have never finished, I'm not done. Every day I put the pencil down when I go to bed and there's still things on the list. What AI offers the potential is to get through more of those things. And the things that you're getting through once you're leveraging AI are the more interesting things, the things that are more value add.
You can look at AI as a threat. I've got a friend who says, oh no, AI is going to make me a better human. Because of the things you've talked about, I'll get through more of my list. I'll be able to do things that I don't have expertise in, all the calculations and so on. I love your idea about the prompt engineering. And more we're saying really good leaders ask really good questions. And so having that, back and forth, what questions would you ask in a situation like, really does make you a better leader, doesn't it?
And that's actually, it's a funny thing. You can do the answer as if. You can use chat to help you. This reminds me of, the genie thing, and give me 3 wishes and my first wish is to give me 3 more wishes kind of thing.
Right.
But you can ask a prompt, can you engineer a prompt to do this thing? And having the AI engineer the prompt also is an interesting approach if you don't feel like you're great at engineering prompts.
Hey, let's move on to culture. This is one of our favorite things. This is the Culture Works podcast. We wrote a book called All In on Culture. So you're leading HR, 25 countries in the TTEC system, cultures, generations. How in the world do you create a cohesive culture all around the world like that globally with all the challenges of a growing organization?
Well, I think it's important to understand that culture there's a personalization that's happening right now and needing to ensure that people feel that sense of belonging, that they're unique. And with this many employees and this many cultures, it can't be just vanilla. It has to have a localization. And so having that connecting principle is very helpful. What are our company values and how do those express themselves across every different region that we have? And what's the interpretation in those regions? Because, the behavior that you see and experience every day, and the values really format, but they are the same words expressed in a unique, localized way. And that helps us feel connected, but also like we belong.
It's not lost on us that you want to create that passionate workplace. your people are the face and you're interacting with all your customers. This idea of, I love to come to work. We talk about that all the time. The alarm goes off and you throw your fist in the air and say, yes, I get to go work at TTEC today. What are the non-negotiables in creating that kind of work, particularly in the customer service? I'm sure you've got 2 or 3 things you go, if we can't get this, we're going to have a disconnect. So what are the non-negotiables?
The non-negotiables is we serve our customers. I mean, that is why we do what we do, is to provide extraordinary experiences. And so we want people to show up and really in that service mindset. And so when we think about that, when we're going through the hiring process, we're screening people who have those types of attributes naturally and or building those or learning about those and have that servant leadership mindset for leaders. How am I serving my employees and my team, and how am I connecting across the organization? That human experience is so critical. And that we call that our value act as one, and really understanding that. And one, not just meaning one TTEC, but one community.
That I love that idea. That idea of collaboration comes from, you start at the top. You have that one idea, and then you build out. Being a technology-driven organization, though, innovation's got to be high on your list. How does culture drive innovation? A lot of organizations, they say they are innovative, but somebody messes up, heaven help them, right? So how do you create that environment where it really is safe to take chances and innovate?
Well, I think, kind of that principle of engage, empower, and involve is that, kind of people supporting what they help create is so critical. And I feel like with a culture that allows experimentation, how you handle things when things don't go well is so critical, because if you really are going to innovate and create, you're going to break an egg every now and then. And it's important that you say that's part of the process, that really you're not innovating if you're not breaking a few things, that's pushing the boundaries. And we help people understand there are areas that are absolutely critical, that there is no wiggle room there. It has to be perfect. And then there's other areas that are fun to play in, just like we talked about prompt engineering, developing some AI assistants, creating some new bots, those types of things. Give it a try, see how it works, what worked, what didn't. And that we have a whole group of citizen developers that we've taught how to use some of these AI tools. And in their regular job, they're picking projects to work on that are leveraging that AI, and it's amplifying everything. Now, sometimes that, a bot might do something unexpected, not unlike a person, by the way, but a bot might do something unexpected, and ensuring that we've got controls in place to catch that, but also that we celebrate the experiment rather than, saying, I can't believe you did that. Never do that again,
Yeah, celebrate the experiment. That's a nice way to. I'm going to remember that for the little people in my life as they break things in my house. They're just experimenting. Let's celebrate the experience.
Well, you've said you focused on AI and emerging technologies to really revolutionize the employee journey. We're looking back now from recruitment through retention to development. Where has technology had the biggest impact, you feel like, on your culture so far?
Well, I think technology has enabled us to bring humanity to business and to ensure that we're leveraging technology in the places that are very repeatable and scalable, and then bringing in humanity when it matters. So I'll use an example. As we're going through the hiring process, and I think, for those that have applied for jobs, you're going online, you're applying for jobs, but being able to interact with technology to answer questions in a friendly way that people might have about a job right at the very beginning, and then carrying that through when you get to the interview, that is very human. But being able to leverage all of the insight on that individual that's been gathered through the process and kind of moving through the onboarding experience. We have a little, we call him Louie, that greets people and welcomes people and guides people through is a kind of personal concierge, as it were, and just creating a very unique and personalized experience as they're coming on board to the company, celebrating birthdays and milestones. Louie will appear throughout their employee experience and with very personalized, fun messages.
That's great. You talk about how this frees your teams up to focus on those high value experiences. You've given a couple of examples. What else have you done to automate that routine process to achieve? Because it's so interesting for those of you that are listening. You'll see that she's bringing a human approach in again and again and again, that you're using AI to enhance that human experience. So any other concrete examples you want to share with us?
Absolutely. So, for example, we have sometimes people in the contact center might not call or show up for work for some reason. And doing that manually, saying, okay, did the person show up? What do we do? How do we respond to that? Well, what AI does is it actually tells us who those people are based on their schedule. Here's the folks that have not shown up, and then allows us to make phone calls and check in. And did they have a car issue? Like, are they sick? What's going on? And learn more. But in the past, the time it would take manually to determine that and the hours and the thresholds varied all over the world. Like, we're waiting, some people, well, I'm going to wait for, a couple of hours, or I'll wait for 15 minutes and I'm on. Localized, but standard process on that allows us to do that outreach in a more uniform way. And that brings us, again, we're talking to people faster. We're learning what's going on with them faster and managing those situations faster. So that's like an example.
Yeah, I just think if AI could just manage the time change for you guys, that would be a huge help, right? Like, am I calling them in the middle of the night, or am I calling them, during the work hours? I have a tough time just with the time change from New York to, LA. I can only imagine in 25 countries. AI's got to be a huge help just in managing that.
It really is. It's helpful with scheduling people and looking at, availability. It's just going through. And what's good about AI is that it's learning. It's developing patterns in terms of this is how this situation has been managed in the past, and providing those suggestions for the future. So it's building on that knowledge, which is absolutely fabulous. It accelerates everything.
I was going to ask you about ROI, because you're a bit of an expert on, in a way, showing the value that comes from many HR initiatives. But I want to do this in a segment we call the Culture Challenge, where we're going to talk about this and think about this as something we're throwing out there for not only you, but other CHROs who are challenged with these kinds of ideas. So here's a question we've had from one of our listeners who says, my CEO wants measurable ROI from every people initiative, but culture work like building psychological safety is sometimes kind of hard to quantify. How do I make the business case? So start us off there, Laura. What would you say to this person or to any other, person who's trying to justify some of what we may have called in the old days the softer skills, but I think now we're calling more power skills?
They are power skills. So one of the things you look at is if you've got a great culture, there you don't get a lot of employee complaints, for example. Or if you do, they get surfaced and then you're able to resolve those. Well, leveraging the power of AI, we're able to learn about what those types of patterns are and amplify our culture and do something with it. What creates psychological safety is I told you something and did you do anything with that? And then the other thing that occurs is the notion of if we're creating a great culture, then AI, again, with employee relations, are those things going down? So AI is starting to use, there's a software called Talk to Spot as an example, where leaders can get coaching and feedback before anything becomes a complaint later on, and helping leaders with these. You talked about, Marshall Goldsmith's digital personality that you're able to leverage. When you're able to create these digital coaches in an organization, they can leverage these digital assistants to create the coaching and the experience and the feedback that they need to be successful. And all of that from an ROI, hard dollars, all pays dividends when you're not getting the employee complaints surfacing, and you see those go down. You're able to action them quicker. And the manual processes that we use in that, we've been able to take those jobs. So maybe the accurate word is AI might take your, like the current job you have, and then we take and repurpose those individuals to something else. We did that with instructional design. There's all of these amazing tools you're able to pull together, put them into instructional design automation, and a course will come out. Well, now what do those instructional designers get to do? They get to teach, they get to coach, they get to do the human thing rather than synthesizing this. And now those instructional design be repurposed to something else. It was 20 employee relations. Those people now get to do something else.
What I love is that you're looking at things that matter to the organization. I think, just give us some thoughts too. I think when we work with clients, the most powerful statistics, if you will, that you're looking for are things that matter to your organization. If they're worried about turnover in a hospital, that's what we focus on. If they worry about employee engagement, we've had manufacturing firms, et cetera, with low turnover, but they want people to care more. Just what would you add to this idea of sort of the ROI of these ideas?
Yeah, well, I go to the human side. Laura, you talk about that all the time, and making work more enjoyable and more engaging. I get to use my brain a little more as opposed to doing those tasks that I'm really not that excited about. Calculations, like you talked about. This idea of being able to prepare for a meeting fairly quickly with that bot. Say, okay, I'm headed into this meeting. We're going to talk about this, and this. Coach me up on what some of the best questions might be. This is the outcome I want, And then when I do stuff like that with AI, I'll even throw in for some fun and do it in an Irish accent. It's just, I mean, you really can have some fun with what you're doing. And so I'm always of the opinion, look, as we talked about before, if I'm excited to go to work, if I think work is going to be fun and stimulating and I'm going to learn and grow, I'm much more likely to be excited to be there and to serve our customers. And in your business, I got to think of TTEC, where you're interacting with customers every day. That added bit of energy and that added bit of attitude has got to go a long way in enhancing your brand. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. I think that, as you said, the use cases of getting prepared for meetings, even when you're on the line with a customer and something's difficult, having that helper to help nudge with some things you might say or things you might ask real time, and getting that sort of feedback. And that's the kind of the ROI on great customer engagement, great employee engagement, that sort of thing. But there are so many, hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings regularly that every AI project that we have is doing on the hard side, but then also the soft side, loving to come to work. This is the magic, actually, and the potential is loving to come to work. That play, purpose, and potential is incredible.
Play, purpose, and potential. I love it. We want to jump into the lightning round and the wrap up. So this will be really fun, okay? So this is the culture quick hits. Just give us your first thoughts. So don't overthink this, okay? Question number 1. What's one HR principle that hasn't failed you?
People are magic.
People are magic. I like it. Number 2, a technology or innovation that changed how you think about people strategy.
Teams. Microsoft Teams, Zoom.
I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Zoom, the digital conferencing.
Video conferencing. There you go. Okay, here's the last one. Are you ready? Finish this sentence. The future of HR is
Untapped.
untapped. Ooh, that's a good one.
We are going into this unbelievable paradigm shift that I feel like we're being shot into outer space with the magic and potential of AI.
Okay, one more. Something you wish you'd known about culture 10 years ago that you've learned since.
Oh, good one.
It's more important than strategy.
Wow.
You can do so much strategy, but without the right culture, it's a wish.
Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely right. Hey, Laura, you've just been a great guest. This has been incredibly insightful, also very practical, as well as just a lot of fun. For folks who want to connect with you, learn more about you or your work, or even TTEC, where would you send them?
I would send them to LinkedIn, Laura Butler.
Excellent. So there you got it. You can connect with Laura Butler on LinkedIn, where she shares insights on building exceptional workplaces, cultures in AI, and its transformative potential on HR. Laura, it's been a delight. Thank you for all of you that are tuning in, but more than anything, thanks, Laura, for sharing your expertise. People are going to have some great takeaways from this interview. We really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.